Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the Nike Magista X Proximo or Proximo Street. Some websites have it listed as a Proximo Street. You can see the box just says Proximo in the brand new Challenge Red, Bright Crimson, and White colorway. Now inside the box, they do include a string bag to go along with the shoes themselves. The string bag is bright crimson in color, which is basically a bright red with bright crimson strings. You're gonna find a white Nike swoosh on one side and your white Nike football branding on the other. Other than that, all you're gonna find inside the box, as you guys can see, are the shoes themselves. So we'll get these guys out of the box really quickly and we'll take a closer look at this very good looking colorway of the Magista X Proximo indoors. Now in today's video, we are of course going to take a closer detailed look at the colorway itself. We're going to talk performance, tech specs, we're going to take a look at the weight, as well as take a look at how these things fit and feel on feet. So if you are interested in learning more about this particular colorway of the Magista X Proximo, please stick around, watch the entire video. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, be sure to check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you will find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $150 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's take a closer look at the colorway. Now for me, if I'm gonna wear a bright color, I like red. I just think it's a really, really good color on most soccer shoes, and they did a good job with this one here on the Magista X Proximo. Now you have two different shades of red. Challenge Red, which is a darker shade that you can clearly see in the sandpaper-like texturing on the upper, and then a bright crimson color, which is a lighter shade that you can clearly see here in the Nike swoosh. Now, the knitting for the Flyknit itself consists of those two shades of red, the darker and the lighter shade, which kind of makes the lighter shade look a little bit orange against the darker shade, even though that's not the case. You can see it pretty clearly here in the laces, as well as the exposed Flyknit area that isn't covered with a clear layer of Nike skin. But nonetheless, especially from a distance, the shoe definitely looks like it's mostly red in color with some white accents. Now the clear Nike skin covering looks really cool in that you can see all of the knitted design on the underside. The two shades of red really show off the knitted look of this shoe, or the knitted construction. And what's kind of interesting about this colorway as well is when you get up close, you can actually see the brio cables that are black in color running from the base of the sole into the lacing system. Normally that element is fairly hidden, but for whatever reason you can actually see the brio cables. So for those that were wondering whether or not they're actually there, you can actually see it on this particular colorway. Now, the Nike swoosh, as you guys can see, is bright crimson in color with the white outline. You're gonna find one of those on the lateral and medial side of the shoe. Your ACC branding in bright white, which really pops against the upper as well. Your Magista X branding in bright crimson going down the back of the collar. And then of course, the entire midsole and outsole is solid white with another bright crimson Nike swoosh on the heel at the underside of the shoe. So that's pretty much it in terms of the colorway itself. Let me know your thoughts on it down below in the comment section. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the tech specs so we can learn a little bit more about the overall performance. As far as performance is concerned, the Magista X Proximo is a very good indoor or turf shoe, depending on which variation that you go for. Now, normally when I review a pair of shoes, I start with the upper and work my way down. This time around though, we're gonna start in the middle of the shoe because this is where there seems to be the most amount of confusion around what the major differences are between all of the Nike X Proximo models, the Magista X, Mercurial X, and Hypervenom X. Now the Magista X, which is what I have right here, features a Lunarlon Foam midsole. As you guys can see, it's pretty significant in terms of its thickness running from heel to toe. Very consistent thickness, much higher off the ground than what you're gonna find from either the Hypervenom X or Mercurial X Proximo models. Why is that? Lunarlon Foam, for those that don't know, is a high-end foam that you're going to find on a lot of running, training, basketball models from Nike. They use it in other lines of footwear as well. And of course, we see it right here on the Magista X Proximo. It's a foam that provides a really nice cushion sensation upon impact, but gives a nice kind of responsive bounce back as well. It's not something that's going to be super different than other running shoe foams that you've used before, especially on this particular shoe. I would say that this variation of Lunarlon feels a lot firmer than what you're going to find on a standard Lunarlon cushion setup running shoe. But what you do get that you won't normally get from an indoor soccer shoe with this Magista X Proximo is really good underfoot cushioning and just general impact protection. Normally with a pair of indoor shoes, you may feel like there's not a lot of cushioning under feet, which can be uncomfortable for some people. And if you're one of those people, I know I am myself, I don't like wearing super low profile indoors, you really will enjoy your playing experience in this particular shoe. It'll just be more comfortable for you in the long run, because indoor courts can be a very harsh surface, even concrete, just because there's really no give to it. The expense of having, or the downside I should say, of having a thicker foam cushioning system like you have right here is you sit a little bit higher off the ground, which me personally does not bother me whatsoever, but I know some people like to be a little bit closer to the ground, a little bit more low profile, just so they can get under the ball a little bit more easily, or again, it's really just a matter of preference. So if you're one of those people that likes to be very low profile, you might not want the Magista X Proximo, because like I said, it does sit higher off the ground than the other two Nike X models. The Mercurial X Proximo would be the most low profile if you want to be as close to the ground as possible with as little cushioning under your foot as possible, whereas the Hypervenom X Proximo is kind of the middle ground between the two. So aside from the differences in the uppers, there's also major differences in the cushioning setups and just the way that the shoe fits on your foot, feels underfoot, and just sits on the ground in terms of actual height. So that's definitely something to take into consideration if you're trying to decide between those three shoes in particular. As far as the upper is concerned, it's basically a Magista Obra upper with the addition of this sandpaper-like texturing running through the forefoot and toe box area. It's just in the high wear zone where the upper meets the outsole of the shoe. That's a part of the shoe that's going to take a lot of impact and potentially scraping against the ground. So that extra layer is just going to reinforce the more vulnerable areas of the shoe, which should make a positive result in terms of just the shoe being more durable overall. In terms of the rest of the upper, again, it's a standard Magista Obra. So you have a fly knit construction, the Brio cables running through the lateral and medial side of the midfoot that work from the sole into the lacing system, really helping to lock your foot in place. It's a more dense construction, a dense knitted pattern for the Magista Obra. So it does have more thickness to it than what you're going to find from the Superfly 4 or Mercurial X Proximo. Plus it has a padded liner, so it's thin but does have a nice kind of padded cushion sensation on the ball as well. You have the Nike skin covering that really doesn't provide much in the way of extra grip on the ball, and ACC all conditions control, which isn't a super useful feature on an indoor shoe in my opinion, but it is there nonetheless. Not sure why it's not there on the Mercurial X Proximo. A lot of people ask me that question. That's something you have to take up with Nike, but for whatever reason, they do include the ACC feature on the Magista X Proximo. Lacing system, again, kind of off-centered, exactly the same as what you're going to find on the Obra. And then, of course, across the top of the foot, as well as in the collar, you have exposed elasticated fly knit in the form of your mid-cut dynamic fit collar. Gives you that mid-cut look, that mid-cut feel. Not necessarily performance benefit in any way at all. A lot of people kind of mistake this for some kind of an ankle support or something like that. All this really does is wrap around your ankle. It's an extra layer of material, and it gives the shoe a particular feel that a low-cut shoe wouldn't normally provide. But that's about it in terms of actual performance benefits, if you even consider that to be a benefit, because I personally do not. The insole, completely internal, and it is made from plastic. You do have it there, again, just like you normally, actually you wouldn't normally have that on an Obra. Normally an Obra would have an external heel counter. This one has an internal one, so in that regard, it's a little bit more similar to the Superfly 4. The inside heel liner, though, is exactly the same as a pair of Obras. Smooth synthetic leather, some padding back there. Takes some getting used to, but once broken in, you shouldn't have too many issues with discomfort. Insole, fully removable. This is the same as the Obra as well. Mesh liner on top, perforations throughout. It's just a single layer of this yellow foam, nothing too fancy, but it does get the job done. The majority of the cushioning is going to be coming from that midsole as opposed to the insole on this shoe anyways. And then the outsole, this being the indoor variation, you can get this in a turf model as well, depending on what type of playing surface you're going to be using them on. The actual indoor bottom is, again, pretty much the same across the entire Nike X line. You have this hexagon pattern that works really well. It's a good thickness of rubber. It's not too soft. Provides pretty good traction on indoor courts. Obviously, if the court is really dusty, you have to just wipe the bottom of your shoe with your hands every 5-10 minutes or so, just to maintain as much traction as possible. And even if you want to use these on concrete, asphalt, or any kind of street soccer environment, the durability seems to be pretty good. And again, the traction is half decent as well. And you also get this nice large rubber lip going across the front of the shoe that only enhances the overall durability, just because there's a good shield between the upper and the concrete that, like I said, is just going to expand the lifespan of the shoe even further. So that is pretty much it in terms of tech specs and performance performance features that you should know about the Magista X Proximo. Next, we're going to move on to a quick weigh-in so we can see how lightweight these guys are. In terms of weight, the Magista X Proximo isn't particularly light, but they certainly aren't heavy either. So I'm going to weigh this pair for you today in real time. Keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9.5 US. We're going to throw them on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 9.4 ounces, the equivalent of 266 grams. So at 9.4 ounces, that's actually not too bad for a pair of indoor shoes. Obviously, they do weigh a little bit more than what you're going to get from the Mercurial X as well as the Hypervenom X Proximo models, but that's to be expected. The upper is a little bit more significant, and the outsole is a lot more significant. With that being said, at 9.4 ounces, the shoes don't feel heavy on your feet at all. They fit really well. The upper is just as responsive as a standard pair of Magista Obras, plus you get a lot of impact protection and just underfoot cushioning in general. So if comfort is really what you're going for from your indoor shoes, this definitely does have what you're looking for. All right, so here is a look at the Magista X Proximos on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock laces that come with the shoes. And on my right foot, I have a pair of Blood Splatter SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. You find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, the underfoot cushioning does, like I said, lift you a little bit higher off the ground than you would normally be in kind of a more low profile indoor shoe. But again, that is very much based on preference on whether or not you're going to like that sensation. The underfoot cushioning that it provides is substantial, again, in comparison to most standard low profile indoor shoes, but doesn't feel mushy in any way. You still get a nice responsive underfoot sensation if that's something that you were worried about. In regards to the fit and feel of the shoe, very much similar to a standard pair of Magista Obras. Obviously, it's a little bit different because you're sitting on a foam base as opposed to a hard plastic outsole, but the general shape of the shoe is quite similar. It has that Flyknit construction, so very soft, very flexible in the foot area. Does take some getting used to though if you haven't worn a mid-cut model from Nike, mainly in the heel, just in terms of how it wraps your foot and just fits in general. Something that does, like I said, take some getting used to. Break it in slowly. Don't go straight into a game or straight into a shooting session or something like that, because you will have issues with discomfort and blistering. But again, if you take things slow, you shouldn't have too many problems whatsoever. In regards to the fit of the shoe, they've got some decent width to them. Out of all the Nike X models, I would say that these are the widest. They're going to be suitable for most people, but again, they're not going to stretch. The way they fit from out of the box is the way they're going to fit for their entire lifespan. So if you have really, really wide feet, maybe not the best option for you. You probably want to stick to something with a natural leather upper that's going to stretch a little bit. In regards to sizing, I'm wearing a size 9.5 US, which is a half size larger than my usual size 9. That's because the Magista X, just like the standard Magista line, runs about a half size small. So instead of going true to size, I'd recommend going a half size up in order to achieve the best possible fit. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the Challenge Red and Bright Crimson Nike Magista X Proximo indoors. If you guys are interested in more info on this particular shoe, be sure to check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you'll find the high quality images of this exact pair. That'll give you a better idea as to how they actually do look in person, as well as buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $150 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions at all regarding the Magista X Proximo, leave them down below in the comments and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.